Hi, good to be with you. Thank you for clicking on and listening in. So we continue in our sermon series about the path of a disciple, and we're going to be in it for quite a while. But we begin at the beginning of hearing our call. Right? Last week we had the following of Matthew, of getting up from the table, of trusting in the unknown, right? To be done with the questions and just to get up and go. And we continue to be in that 9th chapter of Matthew. So Jesus and his disciples are out and about, and Jesus is doing what Jesus does, teaching, preaching, and healing. And Matthew tells us he does that because he looks at the crowd and he has compassion. He looks at the crowd and has compassion. And then he looks at his disciples and he begins to instruct them. So the question that comes to my mind right away in that little bit, right, of looking at the crowd and then looking at the disciples, it's looking at the crowd and then looking at the community. So my first question for you is, what's the difference between a crowd and a community? What makes up those? Right? We might explore that a little bit on Sunday, but that's just an opening meditation for you. So anyway, Jesus looks at his community and then he sends them out. And the instructions he gives the disciples are very limited. No gold, no silver, no extra belt, no extra coat, no extra sandals. Just going out into the world as they are. As they are. And they go. Jesus calls on us to see the world with compassion and to then go out into the world and do something about it. So how does that happen if they take nothing with them? Most of us here, especially in the civilized West, we're more focused on what we don't have than what we do have. I will tell you that when I have conversations about doing a new ministry, a new mission, the first thing out of somebody's mouth is, we don't have this or we don't have that. Right? We focus on what we don't have or who we're not. Where Jesus sends out the disciples, kind of forcing them to focus on what you do have. What is available to you, and then be creative and use that in new ways. It takes a lot of trust. Again, this notion of trust to fulfill our call. All of this, right? All of this takes someone who believes that the impossible is possible. You look around the sanctuary, right? At the beginning of this church here in Iowa Falls, it took somebody who believed that the impossible was possible, that trusted that they had enough. All ministries and all missions take somebody who sees beyond what is right before them. If all we ever did was look at what we have, we would do very little. But if we could look beyond and begin to trust in what Jesus gives us, there's no telling what we can't accomplish. It's a hefty call to trust. We're, for the most part, not a trusting people. Right? Prove it to me first, and then we'll see what we can do later. This is who we are as disciples, as these followers of Christ. This is who we are as a community and not a crowd. Jesus looks on them and has compassion. Already, just in that statement, you are enough. You are enough right now to be worthy of the call that Jesus puts on you. You are right now enough to be about God's business in this world. You don't need more than who you are right now to say yes. You don't need to learn more, though we hope you do as the journey goes forward, but you are enough right now. We are enough right now to be about God's work. To join, for the most part, just to join where God is already busy. Right? And God is busy in this world. And Jesus taps us on the shoulder and says, go join. Be a part of it all. So again, the first question, what's the difference between a crowd and a community? I hope that you can share your thoughts with me. And secondly, how can we better trust that we are enough and that we have enough? Well, I think that's enough for now. We'll see you soon.